In the heart of West Africa lies Ghana, a country with a rich cultural heritage where the beat of the drum is not just music but a way of life, where rhythms carry stories, histories, traditions, and the voices of those heard and unheard. Among these voices are the indigenous female master drummers, women of the drums. They are complex storytellers, key actors in cultural promotion and regeneration, mediators in peace building, promoters of inclusivity and resilience, and agents of sustainable cities and communities. In Ghana, indigenous drumming continues to be a rich, varied musical practice that presents a complex blend of instruments, drumming techniques, and rhythms that connects to cultures and tradition. The practice features a wide variety of drums, each with a unique shape, size, and purpose due to their ethnic diversity. The diversity does not affect the quality of sounds, beats, and complex polyrhythmic patterns that resemble spoken language tonalities. They accompany social, cultural, and religious ceremonies, speaking to people in communities and influencing their psychological behaviors and identities. This ancient tradition, echoing across the coastal and forest regions of Ghana, has been a male dominated institution where men carry the mantle of drumming knowledge and cultural stewardship. This is often attributed to the ascribed patriarchal structures of many Ghanaian societies, which allow males to hide behind negative cultural narratives in recorded histories, myths, legends, religion, and the biological setup of the female to exclude females in the art of drumming in sacred and secular spaces.
The space of traditional drumming in Ghana have been predominantly dominated by males.
Mbesiafo no wɔn bɔkye because akyire no ɔyɛ dua a sɛ protectors a ɔyɛ dɛ bosom bi nti wɔma mmesia mbɔkye.
Ɔnyɛ dɛ ebi a mbesiafo akyenebɔ no wɔnkɔn daabi ma ɔte dɛ wɔkɔn na mmom dɛm time no a dɛm akyenebɔ no a wɔbɔ no dɛm time na mbanyinfo na wɔtaa wɔbɔ akye no wɔlead hɛn mbesiafo no wɔ akyenebɔ mu.
Yɛkɔ papaapa besia wɔn bɔkye.
If you think about it, there are a number of reasons that account for this. You can look at it from a religious angle, you can look at it from a purely cultural angle, or even from a biological angle, right? I think it is helpful to think about it from the outset that a lot of traditional drumming was actually associated with traditional functions, which themselves precluded women. So it was hardly just the drumming and or dancing outside of a certain function.
Kyekye nankasa no ɔyɛ sports. Kyekye nankasa nnɛ na chapo no na ndzɛmba bi asesa nti mo hu dɛ ɔyɛ biribi wɔ mu nti ofiri dɛ mbesiafo no ba ebi bɔ wɔte besia bɔkye no ma ɛmfa yɛ funu.
Nti ahyɛ sen wɔkyerɛ yɛn dɛ ɔnam dɛ besia gu ne nsa a ɔyɛ fim a ɛkye no nti besia mbɔkye.
Baby, I feel that I'm going to be a training go in the camp for the same men or the same men or crack. And now I do to some I don't know. And Shannon Cassa answer a book on the so good son where because of that in some moment a phone call. It was the damo entertain was a man. And now my Indians there. If the Nankasana was the son of Chan, which will wish you are, what's the baby hours? And only also were abosom to Ugu and Sanad. You know, one man with Afon then.
If you think about it in terms of biological terms, right? Indigenous knowledge systems actually made a conscious effort to distinguish between tasks that involve gross motor skills, which we know were associated with males, and then fine motor skills, which were those that the females excelled and so on. And from that angle, if you think about traditional drumming, and you think about the drums as very acoustic instruments, which in the traditional setting were not amplified, and if you had to perform in an outdoor space, you needed a lot of energy to be able to get the sound of the drum across, right? So it's one thing having the skill, but one thing having the energy. The level of energy you would need to sustain a full performance was something that within the traditional system, they thought of the females as not able to have that amount of energy and that strength. And that in itself is one of the things that precluded the training of females, in the art of traditional drumming.
The conservative males rely on these to construct and perform masculinities that express their identities, aspirations, and values, creating asymmetrical power relations between men and women. In performances, men mostly play the lead and supporting drums. Women often clap, sing, and dance. If they are made to play any instruments, they are allocated smaller drums or other accompanying instruments. Besides, this notion of hegemonic masculinities that encourages imbalances of power based on gender in indigenous drumming spaces in Ghana also reflects in most of the drums. It is noted that the largest drum with the deeper tone or lower pitch assume the lead role in an ensemble, while the smaller drums with high pitches and tones are deemed the supporting drums. Though there are few exceptions. Now let us take a look at the master or lead drums for the Adwa ensembles of the Akans in Ghana, which is the Etumpam. Though they are of the same size and structure, the one with the low pitch is seen as the male and the other with the high pitch is the female. This may be akin to the tonal modulations in men and women. Men, the dominant group, talk or sing with low pitch sounds as compared to women, the subordinated group, who use high treble sounds. The dominance of males in this space, both in performance and instruments, explains why the English translation of Ochrema during colonialism became master drummer and has until this day been used widely without critique, even in scholarly circles. In the face of all these, some females are breaking the status quo to becoming virtuoso indigenous drummers whose lived experiences and practices produce paradoxes of realities. For centuries, the master drum and the sacred act of drumming, particularly in the middle and southern Ghana, has been reserved for men, with women mostly pushed to the periphery of the arts as supporting drummers, singers, and dancers. This status quo has, however, changed within the last 3 decades. Across different urban centers within different regions in the middle and southern belts of Ghana, some women have challenged this long-held tradition to become virtuoso drummers. They come from diverse backgrounds with the least knowledge of one another, yet each has found herself drawn to the drum, breaking cultural barriers that said the drum was not for them. They are found in major cities: Cape Coast in the central region of Ghana, Kumasi in the Ashanti region, Accra in the greater region, and towns like Bong in the eastern region and Kliko in the Volta region. These cities and towns have rich drumming traditions and cultural diversity, which offer varied practices across ethnic groups like the Akan, Ebe, Fanti, and Ga Adangbe, which are gradually admitting females to drum, thus giving way to a redefinition of gender, cultural spaces, and performances. They either come from a royal background, which gave them easy access to the drum.
The late as one for him, the two first one for him, I only baby girl. And I didn't share with you the second. meka kyerɛ me ɛna na me wɔfa so yɛ the late wotumfoɔ brɛma yɛn me wɔfa ɛno nso no ɔnso ne mbrɛ bi kɔ
Me papa ɛyɛ ɔhene, me wɔfa yɛ ɔhene.
Mepatɔ me uncle bi ɔyɛ ɔhene ɛna ɔfa nkurɔfoɔ drama baako na ɔmo yɛ two but baako wɔ culture center no baeɛ nkurom na ɔbɛkyerɛ me ɛna ɔte group no ɛna ɔmo a yɛbɛkyerɛ yɛn.
Adwuma a meyɛ yɛ twene bɔ twene mesan so to nnwom ɛka ho.
Had powerful individuals whose position and power created the platform for them to drum, or a social event that provided avenues for them to drum?
Diana Mission Dia say first Diana menya about 6 years into Mission Dia say me who say kwatako ba de edi boy tumpan na egu mempa so nti me sorry na me ka kire me papa. Me papa nso so ya asori pen. Nti me ka kire no na ahomoche bia ye kwa asori. Nti me ka kire no na o ka kire me say and you dem be kwa asori. Na ohu oba o boy tumpan da. Nti ye kwa asori no ama me am. Ti e ba afie nu. Na me da so ka kire no say masen aso dae no 3 days na me san dae ne bae nti me sorry na me hwa say kwatakroba no egu empa ne so a me hwa na me hu hwe na me ka kire me papa na me ka kire say dae na sen ha bebi no bi sam say me nyima de ye fra ne dae ana na me say me hu say me bo me kita kwatakroba no but me mbo etumpan no ohun say me hu say edua kita me sim. Okay, and there's 2 times in there, and they didn't be quite sorry. So, your name, young Machino, no, they make quite sorry. Tia quiet and not, Miss me, be a me me short, no, the blog, a 2 honor me ginasso. Into me ginasso, Miss so moon pay and one.
I happened to attend all-girls school called St. Monica's Girls' School in Cape Coast. So during my time, there was this cultural programs introduced in the curriculum. So when your papa was sent to my school, was taken to my school to teach us. So he had to teach some of us girls to play drums and some to play and to dance. But then, drumming was said to be a taboo for females. People just say that we don't know whether it's true or not, but they just say it. I think to deter women from playing as guys do. So he came and selected some of us. But then I saw this huge photo from drums. And I said, I've seen people playing this drum. I would like to learn this type of drum. So we brought those drums to started teaching. I was learning cricket exam when I go home, I play on my lap, on tables, and on my plates when I'm eating and all that. I started picking up.
Between the ages of 8 and 18, they started active drumming.
Me started watching and I check pa fi say na me sha be 17 years na me start boy.
Despite their feminine physiques, their hands move with fluidity and grace on the surfaces of the drum with an intensity that speaks of their deep connection to the rhythms and sounds they command. They share a common purpose. They perform at funerals, marriage ceremonies, schools, churches. They act as agents of regeneration to most of these indigenous musical traditions for generations, while they ensure that their voices, which were once silenced, are now heard and honored. They remind society that culture, by extension indigenous drumming, is not static. It evolves with the hands that hold it. Despite their positive inputs, Their presence as drummers presents moments of uncertainties. Their position as drummers or leaders is seen as conflict brewing systems. They are seen to have disrupted and still disrupting deeply entrenched social norms and cultural hierarchies in spaces long defined by a strict code of gender roles, where the drum is often regarded as a symbol of male authority, strength, and spiritual power. Or better put, they are challenging the very foundation of a conventional cultural order, raising questions about whose identity, power, agency, and tradition the art of drumming is. Possible results are tensions resulting from the changes in existing structures, or what some scholars term structural violence, misunderstanding, and in some few cases, verbal exchanges between these females and other male drummers, with female and male owners of other ensembles.
First time we go program, Tafo Community Center. I go by say, maybe I go around my family at Yamika. Or no, so also the Bama, I go around. On a make say, I'm just saying, I'm through an all for any man in your day. It miss you. Meanwhile, Mrs. I go around and I said that I be family, send me woman. Nti no but to kwa me no di mata me fi no ono na na sa gwani na me dia no ma ne fi mu no ono na but ono o ebi otin ono di o se ma le bo be ma le bo o mo twede but the way they keke me nya le.
For example, their intrusion creates tensions at performance spaces where some conservative male drummers begin to perceive that they are losing their authority as cultural gatekeepers. They think that their unique role in cultural ceremonies is no longer theirs alone. The males become uncertain about their own identity and place in the social hierarchy and institutions, prompting resistance or discomfort because they fear the erosion of their symbolic power, their spiritual continuity, whether the balance and harmony that the drum traditionally upholds might be disrupted, or whether new spiritual dimensions will emerge as females take the role of drummers.
One story be a while or call your diamond cookie. Don't be sad then. I don't know me and cookie. What's the share? Papa didn't go here, Papa be chiam. Or chia and your bed fee. Was in it. Jana. A bad answer. Let me say, do what Becca. It's now who said, not Ugu son said, I have challenges pending. Aha, such challenges may woman, a man not be so free, say. And then, who buy and let the man move a dear to money in I wish to wear man today.
Me no pɛ adwuma free mon ko pɛ fam wo enti ayefo bi frɛ fam chiachia me but me nim pɛ bia e free adam da me ko fie na de chia me dware me yesa me sanna me nan na ase blood bia be hye me ha me other side ya so sa chia na sa na enti sa ne ade bata den na ayesa se na me kan.
I remember one guy who confronted me on that when I was making some ravens in my own a little bit created style. Yeah, it was a hot argument back then. We ended like, okay, it's yourself, do it the way you want. I mean, I've told you the right thing. If you still want to, yes, I said, I told the right thing, thank you. But I'm doing my own stuff too, creating something else with it.
The presence of these female drummers seems to have implications for gender relations within the broader social spaces. That is, if women have mastered the drum, what other male-dominated spaces might they enter? This creates an existential uncertainty about the balance of power between genders within communities, potentially leading to friction or even conflict over evolving social dynamics. Besides, their presence has created a sense of cultural and gender role disruptions. In most communities in the selected regions in Ghana, indigenous drums are not just instruments, they are bound to rituals and authority, a privilege of men. Conventionally, women mostly support and or complete the rhythms and sounds produced by these drums with songs and dances, thus moving from the periphery to the center. These females are seen to be upsetting ascribed roles, creating uncertainty about who owns spiritual and cultural power. To this, communities may be forced to reconsider what it means to maintain tradition while also promoting inclusivity. In some cases, tensions birth misunderstanding, verbal exchanges, and even physical fights. As these women assert their right to drum, some men perceive their presence as disrespectful or rebellious, fueling hostility. In more heated scenarios, verbal altercations may erupt as men challenge the women's legitimacy, questioning their abilities or the cultural appropriateness of their participation.
Oh, sometimes I get very mad, and then sometimes because it's a program, I just try to calm myself down. But after the program, I go and hold them on the chest and say, "Hey, then why? Why do you do that?" But China also said, "You also that." When you make the baby, also marry at the same time. Until I bought my channel for. After that, you can't play as fast at the tempo. Your tempo was slow, and we're going faster and blah blah. I said, "No, you can't do that." Oh, there are some guys I really challenge them.
What begins as a debate over what is conventional can quickly spring into aggression. The tension between preserving cultural practices and advancing gender inclusivity becomes a battleground. In extreme cases, these confrontations can turn physical. Some women become physical with men who hinder their presence in the drumming space, resulting in scuffles or even outright fights.
Yeah, I can't tell that about. There's a guy who lives around the Cape Wisconsin, so from London or something. Hey, I can share one or do a performance because they wouldn't give us the chance to perform at all. In the middle of us performing and dancing, and what the gym does, so we go, oh, well, the shop to oh, there's so much. So you can put your nonsense. Oh, I get very, very mad. Came one time at my time, came. I even said I'm going to report them to the police to get them arrested. And I started going towards the police station at Makam. And my members, about three of them came and said, I don't report you, I'm watching out. When you're beyond, I'm watching.
Where the physical confrontations do not work, the battle is fought spiritually. Some of the women narrate the ordeals they went through when they were spiritually attacked by some male drummers.
Bibia wobɛyɛ bia no wonya obi a ayi te sɛ no so gyina hɔ nom a ɔkyɛlɛ ate wɔ wo ho ayi sɛ ɔyɛ ne ho bi te sɛ okita honhom a otumi de brɛ wɔ ase sɛ wontumi mbɔ like wobɛtoto no ɛnyɛ fɛ like ɔno so ne mpa ɛbɔ ogyina hɔ ɛbɔ sɛ ɛbɛyɛ yie ama no ne so ne adwuma no
ɛna sometimes no so drummers no ebi almost sticks no ɔsɛ obiara pɛ sɛ ɔbɛn ne ho nti sometimes na sticks biara na ɔsɛ wosom nti na time bi ayɛ deɛ no sɛ ɔkɔ perform you carry your own sticks na wode kɔ na sɛ ɔkɔ ana you use your own stick to play the drums because obi wa ne sɛnea wɔka na kɔ sɛ obi stick mu koraa na wɔn sɛ timi ɛyɛ ɔyɛ.
A narrative from the all-female group portend that the group was created as part of the 1979 revolution in Ghana.
Agora bianto bia dagba pa na ntu oba nyeji ba mi magro no ba magbocho ge fifi la ya mi o ntu challenge ga ni ntu o wana nya nyom ho mi oga imi tu agbadada don gba agbla yo ma ye ba nya afufofo nyanto mi kpa ha afuvwa anna ba mi ba ko ha kata ko for revolution ate aba mi ha mi ba revolution woman no la nya ba apa la fi goji kamanya agio na getoro nana.
The drum, once a symbol of unity, can become a catalyst for division as the struggle for gender equity clashes with tradition. Aside these physical and spiritual conflicts, indigenous drumming and its spaces pose as sites of inner conflicts for some of these females.
Remember young Kofubia. So when you want more yadia, Nessa we your bano was a wool bang on Bibria, or Mufisa obey on winning. A bedding. I just so be an American upon myself bedwall, and send away to me so. And yes, idea. Mupa ya kwanko mupo humbi. Eddie, and easy.
Ba na na fi sugbɔ efigba eya mo ƒofia nyi lɛ na mo figba etsɔ mo fi me tsi dzia fi avana me garo mo ne dɔ ɖɔa adɔ vuvi ɖe.
Obi kra hu me kra na no buefu. Eye na eye me ya. Me di ya wo me mu se, nya me di sa adom akyɛde na akyɛ me a, nyimpa tan me. Asafo na mu na ye tan me no.
In some cases also, this notion of the female biological system being weak creates conflict in their minds, causing them to overexert their abilities to meet expectations.
Oh, pay in terms of say you big drums in my body. Either so your banner so a bemadi. So far as you know big drums and the in a epe. But I say ground me chas, you know. Maybe me boss is see my bread. But I say I the be a big jam, but say to me your bed more than an hour, and just a book. Which I'm not so me bar still memory. And say say my improve pa. And I even cry, I'm at times to co programs as compared to other member because I'm my whole day me change.
One intriguing scenario is where some of these female drummers are commodified or marked as objects of the male gaze. For example, most male drummers are of the opinion that audiences have become saturated with their performances but are mostly left in awe by the performances of female drummers. They thus leverage the situation to make money out of these females by allowing them to take center stage presence to perform to huge crowds. Such circumstances stress these women in that they must create appealing and complex rhythms to attract audiences who, in awe of such exhibitions, donate generously to the group. Unfortunately, such donations are seen by the men as compensation for allowing the women spaces to perform, though that appears to be against the right of the women to the space or to perform. How do they prevent or resolve these conflicting situations? To prevent or resolve tensions or misunderstandings, some of them often leverage the support of cultural leaders such as chiefs, elders, and male drummers who, as friends, patrons, and mentors, hold authority in the drumming spaces. They do this first to demonstrate their profound respect for tradition. This means they recognize the place of male drummers as gatekeepers in preserving drumming practices, and second, use that as a pathway to maintaining peace, because if these personalities accepted the women, then the male drummers might find it difficult to reject them. In other situations, some women appeal to the communal value of inclusivity through their male managers and husbands. In some cases also, some of them come from royal families and may access spaces easily per that privilege, but they still rely on the support of male managers who act as gatekeepers to research and practice on cultural activities and who are well known within the cultural ecosystem. Others rely on their husbands and or head of the drum ensemble who happen to have some level of authority to navigate spaces without creating tension. Compromise is another peace-building strategy some of the females employ to peacefully navigate the spaces. They adopt certain concessions that demonstrate their respect for established cultural norms and hierarchical structures. These compromises are not a surrender of their identity or goals, but a calculated approach to gradually shift mindsets while preserving harmony. For example, they agree to follow conventional customs and protocols that govern drumming performances, which include adhering to specific attire or roles deemed appropriate for women in particular contexts, sharing time or stages with male drummers, even where they were the first to be invited, creating opportunities for collaborative performances, abstaining from performing in highly sacred or ritualistic settings where their presence might provoke tension, to focus on secular or communal performances where their inclusion is less contentious. But in some cases, place sacred performances within their safe zones. They also take on mentorship roles, teaching drumming to younger members of the community, including girls and boys, thereby reframing their presence as one that nurtures and sustains the art form for future generations, irrespective of gender. While these compromises help maintain peace, they are often paired with the subtle forms of advocacy, gestures that build trust, pave way for deeper conversations about gender equity and inclusivity. With time, these compromises begin to act as stepping stones towards reshaping the drumming space into one that values collaboration and shared cultural pride without losing sight of tradition or innovation. In addition, these females leverage complementarity, a synergy that arises when diverse actors, roles, and approaches work together to create sustainable and inclusive solutions to conflict. This concept of complementarity acknowledges that both male and female drummers bring distinct yet equally valuable perspectives to the table. Male drummers often present the continuity of tradition and the enforcement of cultural protocols, while female drummers introduce innovative approaches, emotional resonance, and an expanded narrative of inclusivity. Ghana's female master drummers are significant actors of cultural resilience and transformation, bridging conventional and innovation in indigenous drumming spaces. Despite being historically marginalized by patriarchal structures and societal norms, these women have reclaimed the drum as a medium of peace building through cultural expression and agency. Their journey reveals the drum not just as an instrument, but as a profound symbol of inclusivity, spiritual connection, and community resilience. By navigating these conventional male-dominated spaces with skill and determination, they challenge gender norms and expand the scope of peace-building processes for cultural preservation. However, their presence does not come without challenges. These women face resistance from entrenched cultural hierarchies, norms, and societal expectations that question their roles as drummers. They contend with inner conflicts, societal scrutiny, and even physical and spiritual confrontations. Yet, they remain undeterred, employing strategies rooted in peace building, compromise, complementarity, and cultural diplomacy to foster harmony. Their ability to adapt, innovate, and collaborate reflects the essence of cultural sustainability, ensuring that the rhythms of the drum continue to resonate across generations. In reclaiming their voices and redefining gender dynamics in drumming, these women fuse tradition with advocacy, proving that cultural practices are not static but ever revolving. They remind us of the power of resilience, the importance of inclusivity, and the transformative role of art in bridging divides. Their rhythms echo as a call for unity, respect, and progress in a rapidly changing world.